Welcome at Twende Shule, the program that offers an online teaching in various subjects. So we continue with the history subject, third topic in Form 4, about changes in political, social, and economic policies in Africa after independence. So today we are going to see on the aspect of economic policies. We have discussed about the political changes, that how the African states, after attaining their independence, they tried to change their policy on the political sector so as to cope with the African value, with the African culture, with the African mind, to transform from how the colonial treated Africa to be in an African way, or we say Africanization of our policies. So not only in politics, whereby the African state changed, also in economic policies, the African states had to change in order to suit to their needs. As I told you before, that when the Africans were struggling for their independence, they wanted to see improved agriculture, they wanted to see improved industrial sector, they wanted to see improved health services, they wanted to see improved infrastructure. So their demands were to see those hope that they hoped for, why they struggled for the independence. That's why soon after the independence, we were to change the policies. Remember, policies is what determine what we are going to do. Because policy, we say, is what the government decided to do or not to do. Policies is about the cause of action or inaction, whereby the government tried to take measures in order to solve a certain problem in the society. So because we had a various problem, that's why the African state had to take measures by changing the policy from the colonial policies to African policies. So today we are going to discuss on the aspect of economic policies. Now, on the aspect of economic policies, first they were to train Africa to take part in development and public service positions. Remember, during colonial time, those few African people who had access to education, they were trained on how to become a white-collar job. They were trained on how to save for the colonial purpose. They were trained on how to save the interests of the colonialist. And only few people were trained. Remember, on the economic issue, we had a problem of unemployment. Most of the people, because we were untrained, they had no skills, so they are not employed. So we were to train our people so that they may take part in economic development, but also they can take part in public services so that they may earn something to feed their family. They may earn something to feed their stomach. They may earn something for their survival. So we were to train our people, practical skills and the theory education, whereby they will apply to take part in development. They were trained on the issue of agriculture. They were trained on the issue of small industries. They were trained on the issue of fishing. They were trained on the issue of carpentry, so that they may take part in development, so that they may earn something to feed their family. But also in the public service, because only a few Africans were employed in the public service position. So we are to train those people to take part in public service, so that they may earn something to solve the problem of poverty. So this was the first measure that were taken by the African state in order to solve their own economic problem. Another measures or changes that African did was the expansion of agricultural sector. Remember, during colonial time, Africans in some places were restricted to grow some cash crops. There are some cash crops that were left on the hand of colonialists only. So the African people were denied the right to grow some of the cash crops, including coffee and tea. So coffee and tea were not allowed to be grown by the Africans. It was left only to the whites, specifically in those countries that experienced the settler economy. So the settlers were granted the right to produce the cashew crops, while the Africans were to work as the laborers. So we were to transform our policy on the agricultural sector, that even those crops that were not grown by the African, now the Africa had to grow those crops. But also here in agriculture, our state wanted to feed themselves. I told you that he who feeds you controls you. So the African focused much on the production of food crops so that they may promote the so-called food security. Because if you cannot feed yourself, don't expect it to have any economic measures to be taken. So they focused more on the production of food crops and the cashew crops in order to feed the industry that were established, but also the raw material for industry and raw material to be exported outside. And this, I think, may be the problem. That's why Almaz Louis said Africa produce what do not consume and consume what not produce. So for too long we are producing the raw material, those cashew crops, to feed our industry, which are very small industry, but also we produce a larger quantity in order to export abroad. So one of the policies that were taken was to expand the agricultural sector. Until today, like here in Tanzania, almost 70% of the Tanzanians are employed in agriculture. The strategies started since then during the reign of Mwalimu Julius Kambarage Nyerere, that we must expand more agriculture. That's why even during 1964, after the Western Germany refused to finance the first 5 years development plan, Mwalimu Julius Kambarage Nyerere said, "We have done a great mistake to choose money which is not ours. We must focus more on agriculture, that the money will come later." So we are to transform our agricultural sector, to develop our agricultural sector to feed ourselves, but also to produce raw material to feed our industry and to export abroad, so that we may earn something to develop our nation. Another changes in economic sector was the expansion of industrial sector. As I told you before, that during colonial time, those industries that were established in Africa were only processing industry. There were no manufacturing industry in Africa, except after the Second World War, when the Europeans decided to establish the import substitution industry, which manufactured various luxurious goods. So soon after the independence, in order to transform our industrial sector, we were to establish more manufacturing industry, so that we reduce dependence on the importation of manufactured goods from Europe, from Asia, from America. Like here in Tanzania, various industries were established. We had Mwanza textile industry, Msoma textile industry, Urafiki textile industry, we had Bora industry, Zana za kilimo at Ubungo, Mbeya, cement industry at Tanga. So we established various industries so that we reduce the dependence on the importation of manufactured goods from abroad. But also we established this industry so that we provide employment to our people, whereby industrial sector employed a larger number of people, was next to agriculture. So one of the policies that were taking place was to expand the industrial sector. Another changes was the improvement of infrastructure.